Hello, fellow Rotarians and guests. I'm Lori Alton, and I'm honored to serve as your club president for the Rotary year 2021-2022. The Rotary Club of Columbus has a storied past, beginning in 1915, when a group of civic-minded people saw the need for leaders to come together to find ways to make our community better. And now, 106 years later, we're a vibrant, strong club that continues to place service above self. Our club is diverse, with members across all sectors of business, government, military, healthcare, education, nonprofit and community service, ministry, and the arts. And we come together each week as friends with a shared purpose of learning how we can be more involved in the things that matter to all of us. And we leave committed to changing our community and changing lives. As Rotarians, we are people of action, and it shows. So welcome back to Rotary. Thank you for being here, and thank you for making a difference in our community. Well, hello, and welcome to the September 15th meeting of the Rotary Club of Columbus. I'm so excited to see all of you here, and for those of you watching online, a warm welcome to you too. Well, you may have noticed that today's speaker, Mary Sherman, is not here. It's not Mary. Not close, but not Mary. Well, Mary woke up this morning. She didn't feel well. She had a fever, and so out of an abundance of caution, we said, I don't think I need to be around a group, room full of people. And so we understand, and we wish her a speedy recovery. And I want to say a special thank you to Laura Ann Mann, and she's not going to like that I'm doing that, but Laura Ann, thank you so much for working hard this morning to bring us a great program today that we'll introduce in just a few minutes. And so now would you please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And now I would like to ask President-elect Cedric Hill to bring us today's invocation in accordance with his faith tradition.
You bow in prayer with me. Father, we first thank you for our agenda today and for our expected speaker that couldn't make it. We pray for her health and her strength and her recovery and to overcome. And we also pray for those empty seats that are in our midst today, members that potentially couldn't be here for whatever reason. And we pray honestly for this season that we find ourselves in, which is very difficult in many respects, whether it's isolation or whatever it is that we're encountering. We lift each one of our members up to you. We lift our community, our city up to you. We thank you for our agenda today and those who are able to step in to carry out the purpose of Rotary. We thank you again for the privilege of being able to call upon your name and to be in your midst and to give thanks for the food that we're receiving, the fellowship of friendships that we have, and the things that we shall do to edify you and to glorify our community and make life a better place for all people. This we pray in your name. Amen. Please remember the cans. Please remember the cans.
Thank you. At this time, Cedric Hill II will bring us today's news.
Good afternoon. Here's a look at a couple of headlines. This past Saturday, Americans nationwide commemorated 20 years since the 9/11 attacks. Bells tolled to signify the moments each tower was hit. Family members clutched photos of loved ones, and in New York City, twin beams of light reached 4 miles into the sky as a reminder of where the towers once stood. Former President George Bush recalled the unity that we showed after the attacks and urged our country to put aside our differing views to come together again today and rally to the cause of one another. I can't think of a better message for our Rotary Club. In local news, the Columbus Rapids are our latest pro sports organization. The Rapids are an indoor soccer team and will have a men's as well as a women's team. Eddie Miranda, who coaches soccer at Glenwood, will coach the Rapids men, and Miguel Galindo, who is an assistant coach for the CSU women's soccer team, will coach the Rapids women. The Dow Jones was up 100 points at noon today. Your weather forecast, well, this morning it was cloudy, but now it's raining. And I clearly didn't check the weather this morning because my sweater is wet. And the high is 77 and the low is 69. One last thing, today is the first day of Hispanic Heritage Month, and it will end October 15th. This is not the only time that we want to do this, but this month especially, let's be intentional to learn more about the contributions of Hispanic Americans to our country and the rich Latin culture that enhances our country. Thank you.
And now I would like to call on Aileen Lassiter to please, oh, I'm sorry, Donna, that's right. Donna Morgan is actually stepping in to introduce today's visiting Rotarians and guests.
Thank you, President Lori. Welcome, fellow Rotarians, and today some Rotarians brought guests with them, and we would like to recognize them. So today, Alan Harkness brought with him Laura Lee, Bernstein, with with Chattahoochee County. I'm going to get this right. I'm going to do this again. Alan Harkness, thank you for bringing with you Laura Lee Bernstein with Chattahoochee County. So thank you. And Dr. Mark Wood, thank you for bringing with you Deborah Bordelon with Columbus State University Provost. Thank you for visiting with us today. Thank you.
Thank you, Donna. And so one of our favorite traditions each week is to welcome a military guest, and so it's my pleasure now to call on Vern Humphrey to introduce today's Colonel Ralph Puckett Jr. Soldier of the Week.
Good afternoon or good morning, fellow Rotarians. It is my pleasure to introduce to y'all Captain Robert Barger. He, like me, is an Army brat. He grew up around the world. He was actually born at Fitzsimmons, where my 3 children were born. He's now at the infantry school as the operational officer. He has been in 6 years, been to Fort Riley, Korea, and Fort Benning. He's married to Shannon for 5 years. They have 3 beautiful daughters. They take after his wife, he said. Wyatt, Holly, and Nora. His awards include ARCOM, Army Achievement Medal, Overseas Badge, and Ranger Tab. So it's a shame our good Ranger, Colonel Puckett, couldn't be here to meet him today. The schools he's been to are Basic Officer Course, Bradley Leader Course, Infantry Leader Motor Course, Combat Life Saving, Captain's Career Course, and Ranger. Today, Captain, we have a challenge going for you. You know what to do with that. We have a passport to the arts, where you have tickets for you and your lovely wife to go to the River Center, to the Columbus Symphony Orchestra, the National Infantry Museum, Columbus State University Theater Department, and Springer Theater. And finally, as our Colonel Ralph Puckett Soldier of the Week, no, I'm sorry, not finally. Let me give you this book first. We have a book written by Colonel Puckett, Words for Warriors. There is a flyer in here about his Medal of Honor, and there is also a little note written to you. And finally, we have the Colonel Ralph Puckett Jr. Soldier of the Week, Colonel Robert C. Barger, is presented to you. Welcome. Thank you. Rotarians, Colonel Barger, Captain Barger, promoting you.
Hey, I'll take the promotion, any day. That works. Hey, I don't have a whole lot to say other than I'm familiar with the Rotary Club. I know what you guys do, and in the community, Columbus especially. Just thank you for everything you do. Thank you for this honor. I'm a Columbus boy, sort of, at heart. I've lived here 3 times now. Favorite memory in the town of Columbus is Christmas of 97, 98. Maybe somebody remembers it. It snowed, so I woke up to snow when I was like 6 years old. Not something you get in Columbus. But anyways, thank you very much for this honor, and thank you for everything you do.
Vern, is there an inscription inside the book? A dedication? Okay, just want to make. I just want to make sure. Just making sure. But Captain Barger, let me just extend our sincerest gratitude to you and all the men and women who serve alongside you at Fort Benning. We appreciate all that you do for our country and for our community, and we sincerely hope you'll come back and visit soon. Thank you. So for the next few weeks, we are going to feature videos of organizations that are supported by this year's Children's Fund. Last week, we featured the Boys and Girls Club, and this week, I'm excited to show you a video about the Open Door Community House. Let's watch.
Hi, my name is Michael. I am 11 years old, and I would like to tell you about the experience about the 10-can robot steam project from Open Door. What I liked about this activity, it was a problem-solving, challenging, a creative, that I really love to create, that I really like to create the creation. What I learned from this is that always learn something from your mistakes. Because one time there was a malfunction in the robot that me and all my teammates had to fix. And then we found that solution. Thank you, Open Door, for bringing this activity, and I hope we'll do this again in the future.
Wonderful, and we'll bring you another video next week. And so, you know, it's always an exciting day at Rotary when we are able to introduce a brand new Rotarian. And so at this time, I would like to ask Beth Schwartz to please come up and introduce our newest member.
Thank you, President Lori. When I first joined Rotary, I went to the orientation luncheon, and somebody said to me, "Oh yeah, the rabbi's always a member of Rotary." The Rabbi of Temple Israel is a member of Rotary, not just because of your kindness in including us and your graciousness in welcoming the Jewish community as part of the overall Columbus community, but also because it's part of our commitment to be in the community and to be part of the wider community as we always have been, almost ever since there's been a Columbus. So I'm very pleased to introduce to you my successor at Temple Israel, Rabbi Shmuel Polin, who comes to us from a variety of places around the country, but most recently Cincinnati. And he brings with him his wife Daniela and their toddler little boy Micah, or Micha. And I know you'll all give him a great Rotary welcome, and you have a lapel pin, so this is not quite the decoder ring, but be patient. But you have a Rotary pin. So welcome, Shmuel, Rabbi Polin.
Thank you, everyone, for your warm embrace. I'm very excited to be joining you all today. And you can tell I've moved here because I've used y'all now a few times since moving here, and I'm very comfortable using it. So today actually is Yom Kippur. I made sure, though, to come here prior to get some food before the great fast, and looking forward to already the end and breaking of fast, which will come after about 24 hours from now. So wishing everyone well, and look forward to seeing more of you. So.
Welcome Shmuel to our club. We are thrilled to have you here, and our club has a long history of service to the community. In fact, we are club number 200 out of 35,000 around the world, and so we look forward to serving alongside you. So now I would like to call on Michael Silverstein to present our newest Paul Harris Fellow, as well as several Paul Harris multiples. So Michael.
President Lori fellow Rotarians. It's another great day for the Rotary Foundation being able to make a presentation of a new Paul Harris Fellow and 4 Paul Harris Plus Fellows. As my table mate, Bill White, said when someone asked me, what are all those boxes? I said, they're Paul Harris pins. And Bill said, what a great problem to have. And it is, because the dollars that you contribute to the foundation come back to us in so many ways, such as the global grant we're going to be doing and midnight basketball. And for our newest members, in order to become a Paul Harris Fellow, requires a contribution of $1,000, and then for every additional $1,000, you become a multiple Paul Harris Fellow. It's now my pleasure and honor to call up our newest Paul Harris Fellow, Mitch Grossman, Micheal Tullier, and Sam Wetzel, who are Paul Harris Plus Ones, Billy Turner, who is a Plus 2, and Tyler Townsend, who is a Paul Harris Plus 4. So I can present your pins, please. And they should have said Past-president Tyler Townsend. Thank you. Join me as we...
And I should have said past President Michael, correct? But thank you, all of you, for your generosity and your commitment to the Rotary Foundation. Your generosity makes it possible for us to do so much good for so many. And now I'd like to ask Jean Kemp and Haley Tillery to please come up and give us a special Rotary football update.
Rotary football finishing in 3 weeks. Haley, tell us, is it too late to play if you're not in yet?
That is a good question. And the answer, what is it? No, it's not too late. So please take the opportunity, sign up for Rotary football. The green forms are on the table as you're leaving. Be part of the fun. Don't just watch the game. Be a part of it, because the biggest winner of all is who?
Rotary Foundation.
I kind of heard that, Rotary Foundation. So please sign up. We would love to have y'all. Thank you for the players already. We're truly making a difference, and football is back. Thank y'all.
Thank you, Haley. Well, today we got a special treat for you. We brought in a couple of paid experts from 2 of our games that we've got this weekend, and that's the Georgia and South Carolina. So these people are going to give valuable information in just a second, but write it down. You might make a little money on it. So, first of all, games this week, we got Georgia Tech. I know they're looking forward to this. They're playing Clemson. That ought to be good. No, Auburn and Penn State. That ought to be good. I think that's a 6-point game. Ought to be a real interesting one. And then Alabama, number 1, will be playing Florida, which is number 15. So that's going to be a good one. And now the paid experts I've been telling you about. First of all, who's going first? Who won the toss?
No, you go first. No, you go first. How many Georgia fans we have? Raise your hand. Georgia fans? South Carolina fans? Okay.
All right, go, Otis.
Good afternoon. When I was asked to do this by Gene, I took it seriously, because you got to wear your colors. Georgia, South Carolina, 7 o'clock, ESPN. We've been playing since 11/3/1894, and through 20, Georgia leads the series 52-19. Good job, y'all. The first game was a Gamecock victory in '94, 40-0. As a Gamecock, you celebrate the history, you know what I'm saying? It's a little easier. The matchup predictor on ESPN is UGA 95%, USC 5%. So we're 30-point underdogs. But Shane Beamer's created a real positive culture in Columbia. He coached there. He learned some stuff at Oklahoma, so we got a lot of rebuilding to do, but he's already hitting the trail and getting the athletes. So, his dad being the former head coach, Virginia Tech doesn't hurt. So maybe it's in the genes. We'll see. Kirby Smart, impressive. Great recruiter, great coach, building program. What do you say? And thank you for beating Clemson. We have no love lost with the Tigers. Unlike 2019, and y'all remember, I predicted Gamecocks would go between the hedges and win, and we did. But I think this will be a good game to watch. I'll be there between the hedges, but it may be very interesting because it's the SEC opener for both teams. May the best team win. And this year it's Georgia, but not by that much. You're up.
Oh my goodness, that's about as interesting as watching paint dry.
You don't need any of these notes?
I want these. I can't believe that you would write something like this. He actually said, Gamecocks win in double overtime. How many of you Georgia fans believe that?
Well, that was 2019.
Oh, what do you predict this time?
I said it. You didn't have your ears on. Georgia, but not by that much, not by 30. Georgia's going to win.
Oh, Georgia's going to win?
Yes.
Ain't no use me making a prediction then. This came last night when Gene and I were having a little lunch or dinner, whatever you call it. So he said, man, I'm in a bind. And Gene, you can't tell Gene knows. So I went home. My wife is a Geechee. She's from South Carolina. She's from Beaufort. We've been married 55 years, and I'm sitting up here telling you about Georgia, and I hope this is not being recorded, and my wife gets back to it, but Georgia is going to win by about 30-7. I'm going to give you maybe something. Gene, read this. This came in from my friends from Chicago. I grew up in Cicero, so this came in from the bookies. And Gene, I can't say this on camera, but somebody get back to read that. Just. All right.
All right, the line for the Georgia-South Carolina game is 30 points, and Georgia is going to win by 7 points. That's a
Georgia's
book.
going to win by 30.
He said 7.
Georgia points 30, South Carolina maybe 7, maybe 7.
Maybe 7, okay. All right, well, just remember, you heard it here. and thanks to our experts.
Thank you. Don't forget to take your bets.
Thank all of you very much. So I don't only have one announcement. If you have been attending the meeting online and you would like to attend in person, just please RSVP, shoot us an email or a text and let us know you're going to be here next week. If you're a regular, you don't need to do anything except let us know if you will not be here next week. And so today, joining me at the head table, we have President-elect Cedric Hill, and now I'm pleased to ask Matt Swift to please introduce today's program.
Thank you, President Laurie. We, again, just so everybody knows, we were called in at the last minute this morning and to come in and give this presentation on the upcoming SPLOST vote, and we're more than glad to do it, again, because regardless of how you feel about the SPLOST vote, whether you're for it or against it, we do think it's important that the people of Columbus know the facts, know what the projects are, and so on and so forth. So I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time introducing Isaiah. Isaiah's been a Rotarian for 20 years, so everybody, most all of y'all know him. But I think there's a couple of remarks about Isaiah that maybe you don't know. He's a native-born person from Columbus, and he graduated from Spencer High School, and he went on to Talladega College, and then from Talladega College he went on to Mississippi State University to get various different degrees. But really, the truth of the matter about Isaiah, and I see Judy back there, and she'll, I'm sure, confirm this, is that mayors come and go through the years. City council persons come and go through the years. But our city manager here has been there 17, almost 18 years. And if you look at what's happened to Columbus over the last 17 to 18 years, it's been remarkable. And as a matter of fact, if you look at where we are today throughout this pandemic, Columbus financially and in many other respects is as good as it can be. And of course, the mayor and the city council, they provide the policies and the strategies. But it's people like Isaiah that's there doing their work day in and day out. And how fortunate we are that Isaiah came back to Columbus and has been serving Columbus so diligently for all these years. And again, his recognition doesn't go without being known. Just recently, the Georgia Municipal Association voted Isaiah into the Hall of Fame, which is a terrific honor for him as well for Columbus. So we're just very, very fortunate to have Isaiah as a Rotarian, but also our city manager. So with that, Isaiah, I'll turn it over to you, and I think he's going to talk a little bit and then turn it over to Pam Hodge, who by the way, y'all, is another one of those city employees that is just totally dedicated to our city and has done an incredibly good job. So with no further ado, let's welcome Isaiah Hugley.
Good afternoon, and Matt, thank you for that very kind introduction. And we'll move along rapidly for the sake of time, but President Lori and my fellow Rotarians, thank you for the opportunity to share information on what the mayor and city council voted to appear on the November 2nd, 2021 ballot for your consideration. On behalf of our mayor, Skip Henderson, and members of council, thank you, Rotarians, for what you have done and continue to do for Columbus, Georgia. Because of you, we have enjoyed great momentum over the last 20 years, and Matt just talked about the remarkable things that are going on in our city. But we have momentum that is apparent across, throughout our city. We have earned our rightful place, in fact, as the second largest city in the state of Georgia, with a 2020 census showing our population at 206,922 people. So thank you, my fellow Rotarians. Deputy City Manager Pam Hodge is going to share a PowerPoint on the proposed projects on the November 2nd ballot, as you just heard Matt say. But before she comes, I want to remind you how far we have come over the last 20 years because of you, the citizens of Columbus, Georgia. We are not the Columbus of yesterday, 20 years ago. 20 years ago, most would not have believed that Uptown Columbus would be the thriving business, education, arts, and entertainment district it is today. Would not have believed we would have whitewater rafting in Columbus, Georgia, a natatorium, indoor swim facility owned by the citizens of Columbus, Georgia, a public-private partnership that resulted in 30 clay courts at Cooper Creek Tennis Center and would add 25 additional courts for a total of more than 55 tennis courts at one location, the largest public facility of its kind in the country. Most would not have believed that we would have 1.9 million visitors come to Columbus, creating $340 million economic impact. Most would not have believed that in Uptown Columbus we could measure 6 years of economic growth, resulting in $74 million in capital investment in the value of building permits and 42 new businesses, more than 400 new jobs, and more than $204 million in gross receipts, a 30% increase in 6 months. Would not have believed we would be watching the construction of a 106-room high-end Marriott brand hotel, Hampton Inn, in the 1200 block of Broadway, or an AC hotel by Columbus-based Ram Hotels in the same block on Broadway, and an Indigo hotel on the river. You all know Chuck Williams, and Chuck Williams, a former reporter for the Ledger-Enquirer, wrote in a news story, if 20 years ago you could have envisioned 2 hotels in the 1200 block of Broadway, you are way smarter than I am, he said. I went past that block every single day. I just didn't see it. If you actually thought, Chuck said, that there would be a whitewater course in the Chattahoochee River, you are probably a dreamer, because that's all it was, a dream. He went on to say in that story, what is happening downtown is starting to happen quickly. It's a 20-year overnight success story, a new restaurant here, a new restaurant there, a hotel here, a hotel there, a river center here, a Columbus State campus there. It all begins to add up, is what Chuck said. We can zip line across the Chattahoochee to Phoenix City, and we can zip line from Phoenix City back to Columbus. We have market days, the Frank K. Martin pedestrian bridge, a splash pad, water feature at Woodruff Park, Harmony Park Playground at Woodruff Park, a $226 million investment in the Columbus State University River Park campus with students and faculty, numbers totaling more than 3,000. A $52 million project by W.C. Bradley, 226 new apartment units, and a 5-story structure with retail space, restaurant, a park, a 313-space parking garage. Historic Westville relocated to Columbus. National Infantry Museum, 60 miles of connected walking, jogging greenway trails named Dragonfly. Midtown Columbus is branded Midtown and Thrive, and the Panhandle completely redeveloped and thrive, and North Columbus is growing and thrive, and infrastructure projects in process throughout Columbus. We have 10 active projects, transportation projects, with committed funding of close to $300 million. Rotarians, we are enjoying great momentum in Columbus, momentum that is apparent as you travel throughout the city. So thank you for that momentum, and Pam, I'm going to ask you to come. The question, though, as she comes, is can we maintain this momentum in the second largest city in Georgia with a population of 206,922? I believe we can remain because we are Columbus, Georgia strong. And so you're going to hear from Deputy City Manager Pam Hodge. She's going to talk about these projects, and then we're going to try and answer any questions. Deputy City Manager Pam Hodge.
Good morning. I really appreciate the opportunity to be here today. We'll go through this presentation. I've been told I'm on a time limit, so I will definitely keep within the time limit, and we'll move through this presentation quickly. If you can pull up the presentation. And as the city manager mentioned, you know, the momentum started when you look at the SPLOST, the Special Purpose Local Option Sales Tax. We've had 2 in Columbus from 1993. Well, maybe we'll start this. Hold on. If you can just go to the next slide. Promises made, promises kept from the 99 to the 93 sales tax. It was held, the 1999, for $255 million, started in April of 2000. Again, a special purpose local option sales tax is for capital in nature. It's not for operations, it's not for maintenance. It cannot be used for salaries or benefits. There we go. So this is just a reminder of those projects that were on the 1999 SPLOST. Some of you might not realize that these things that were constructed were actually from a special purpose local option sales tax. Those things included 6 fire stations, the animal shelter, the Olympic pools, parks and green space, the golf course at Bull Creek. The City Services Center, $3 million of the SPLOST was part of that City Services Center. The Macon Road Library was part of a SPLOST. Muskogee Technology Park, that was part of a SPLOST back in 1999. These are just some of those projects that were part of that SPLOST and have been completed. The golf course, the Trade Center, there were improvements made to this facility with a SPLOST, and the streetscapes downtown on Broadway. The Animal Control Center. And again, the 1993 SPLOST, which started back in 1993, that was $169 million. These were the projects that were included in that SPLOST: the Civic Center, the Public Safety Building, the Parks and Recreation, $50 million. The super centers were built at that time. The Combined Sewer Overflow, the Riverwalk, started with a SPLOST in 1993, as well as sidewalks throughout our community. So lots of improvements and investment in our community have been done through special purpose local option sales tax. So that brings us to today, to the 2021 SPLOST that will be on the ballot November the 2nd, that Council has authorized to move forward at $400 million worth of projects. The collection date would start on April 1st of 2022. $200 million of general obligation bonds as part of this SPLOST would be issued for the Judicial Center, and then all other projects would be as pay-as-you-go. So I'll walk through each of these projects individually. The first one being economic development at $9 million. This is additional infrastructure and site preparation at Muskogee Technology Park, and also to target a South Columbus redevelopment. This is Muskogee Technology Park, and what is helpful for our development authority is when these sites are pad ready for those site selection companies and businesses as they come in, it really is helpful for them to be able to see what that site looks like. So it would continue with that work. Also, Parks and Recreation, $48 million. Improvements to many of our parks throughout the community, as well as splash pads that will duplicate what we see down on the river, as well as pickleball and a pool and splash pad component at some of our pools that need to be replaced. A lot of our facilities are old, they're outdated. The restrooms, the playgrounds, the amenities at our parks need to be upgraded, as well as there's pools that need to be replaced. Those were built back in the 90s, so it is that time that they need to be replaced. This is just some options that we're looking at to enhance those facilities with a splash pad pool combination at 3 different locations throughout our city. Public safety facility renovations. This includes the renovation of 3 fire stations, the replacement of 1, and renovation of the public safety building. The 3 fire stations is 4, 6, and 8, which is Whitesville Road off of St. Mary's Road and Brown Avenue. And again, the public safety building, built back in the 90s, so it's time for roof replacement and internal renovations to that facility. And you can see the fire stations, although they were built in the 60s and the 70s, they're in good condition, but there are in need of expansion. A lot of these stations did not contemplate men and women at a fire station. So there's a lot of changes that need to be made to the efficiency of those facilities. $24 million for public safety vehicles and equipment. This includes not only the fire department for ambulances, engines, ladder trucks, also the police department and the sheriff's office, pursuit vehicles, inmate vans, equipment, the replacement of the River Road tower, radio tower. It has been in the path of 2 different tornadoes and definitely needs to be replaced. The courthouse, one of the projects on the list, as you can see, this shows the courthouse from the 1800s to 1896 to the current structure. And this is a concept only of the proposed Judicial Center on the same site. Historically, the courthouse has been on where the Government Center currently sits, and the proposal is for that to be replaced with the Judicial Center on that site, for a total budget of $200 million, includes a 310,000 square foot facility with a 500 to 600 space parking deck, to include all of the court functions from state court, superior court, probate court, municipal court, juvenile court, the judges and the clerks, the district attorney's office, public defender's office, and all those court-related functions would be housed in this facility. Again, the concept of that, the budget breaks down with these estimates of construction at about $118 million, a parking facility around $11 million, the demolition, temporary space, design, construction management, and contingencies. As many as you know, the construction material industry right now is very fluid, and so we want to make sure that we have a budget sufficient to build that facility in the future. Transportation, again, resurfacing and trails. This is looking at those things that citizens request on a regular basis. Sidewalks and trails is a big request from our citizens now. Stormwater and flood abatement at $20 million. We work with a consultant who has been evaluating our stormwater system. There are multiple projects, about 14, that are needing to be upgraded and replaced at this time, listed on the screen, anywhere from uptown, really throughout our entire community. The golf courses, clubhouses, and bridges, this would be to replace the Bull Creek Golf Course. There has been a bridge out at Bull Creek for many years. This would replace that bridge, as well as renovations to Oxbow Creek Clubhouse and a bridge out at Oxbow Creek that we're now having to divert that traffic onto the Riverwalk. The Trade Center, this facility to continue to provide the space needed. The parking structure needs to be expanded to 500 spaces, so $5 million would be coupled with a 2003 bond issue that was done to provide those 500 spaces in a parking facility for the Trade Center. The Civic Center, again, built in the 90s. It's time for some major renovations to the roof, improvements to the sound system, the LED system, video boards. The HVAC system needs to be replaced as well. Heavy equipment, $14 million. This would service mostly Public Works, Parks and Rec, and the engineering department, anywhere from mowers, tractors, dump trucks, asphalt trucks, just a replacement program for those heavy equipment and vehicles throughout the city departments. And also information technology, $5 million. This is just to continue replacing the computer equipment throughout the government. This is just really to look at the sales tax currently in Muskogee County. It is 8%. With the approval of this SPLOST, the sales tax would temporarily go to 9%, at which time the transportation special purpose local option sales tax ends in December. The voters will have a chance to decide next May whether that sales tax remains at 9% or will revert back to 8%. And this just shows that time period that it could be at a 9% for 9 months, from April of 22 to December of 22. And depending on the outcome of the transportation SPLOST would determine whether it would remain at 9% or revert back to 8%. This provides a history of the special purpose local option sales taxes and other sales taxes that we have in our community. The school district has an e-SPLOST. They've had 5 e-SPLOST. The city has had 2 SPLOSTs in the past, and then 1 transportation special purpose local option sales tax, which is a regional tax. We are one of 16 counties in the T-SPLOST region. Just as a summary to remind everyone that 30% of sales tax comes from outside of our community. And so they do contribute to these investments that are on the proposed list. We do have the ability to leverage a SPLOST to receive other federal and state funding. and as well as SPLOST does create local jobs for those developments that are done with local contractors. So just kind of to summarize for the SPLOST in the past, $169 million from 1993, $255 million from 1999, and if this proposed SPLOST is put into place at $400 million, that would be investments in our community of over $824 million since 1993. It's right at 1 o'clock.
Any questions? Quick question?
Sure. I do not have this.
It's October the 12th and November 2nd.
Just to remind you of the early voting dates, October 12th this year through not early vote.
No, the early vote, the election is November 2nd.
Yeah, the election is November 2nd, but early voting starts October 12th, so that you know. And we will answer any questions. I know that we're out of time.
Would you stay around for a few minutes if anyone has questions? Let's do that. Okay. Thank you. So Isaiah and Pam, a huge thank you to both of you for doing this on such short notice. And Isaiah, you know this, but for all of our speakers, we will put a children's book inscribed with your name in our local public library, one of the beneficiaries of a SPLOST. So I would just like to re-welcome all of our visitors and guests. And Captain Barger, thank you for being here. We appreciate that. I also want to remind you that we have a Zoom Rotary breakfast mix this Friday. So please plan to be there at 8 o'clock in your comfort of your own home. And we hope you'll be here next week when our program will be Julio Portillo of Midtown Columbus. And before we go, let me just say hello to Haisha. Your week going well? Okay, you're about to get a good dose of Georgia rain. So until we meet next week, let's continue to make a difference. Good job.